Mic check, mic check. What's going on? Welcome into another episode of the KZ Community Beat. I'm your host, Ross Martinez. Episode 52 from OSF Healthcare. We have Tom Cox, the Vice President of OSF Oncology Services, and Dr. James McGee, a Radiation Oncologist at OSF and Founding Director of OSF Cancer Institute. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Let's dive right into it. This new institute that's coming up. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about it and why it's such a big issue here in town?
The reason this is a big issue here in town is we are going to revolutionize cancer care in the area. What we're trying to do is become more of a destination center for cancer care in this region, to try to bring the types of things to our communities that you'd normally have to get on a plane, go to Houston, go to Rochester, drive up to Chicago, down to St. Louis. And we want all of those tools to be available to our communities, to the providers in our communities, and to really partner with other health systems, other providers, to elevate cancer care throughout the midsection of the state of Illinois.
Yeah, for 10 years I was the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health Board, chairman of that board. During that time, we saw a lot of crises in Chicago in terms of cancer morbidity and mortality, particularly in low-income neighborhoods and so forth. And when I came back downstate and compared our numbers to those that were such a crisis in Chicago, our numbers were worse.
How worse were they?
Significantly worse. So we have really terrible history in terms of our care for people with cancer, in terms of the upfront diagnosis, late diagnosis, a lot of morbidity, a lot of mortality, a lot of expense, and futility in treatment. So we just absolutely have to change that. I'm very proud that OSF has taken it on to say, okay, this is a healthcare issue. This is not about a technology. It's not about a gadget. It's about healthcare, making people healthier. And so in order to do that, a multiple phase programs underway to enhance treatments, make them better, enhance patient support, make that a lot better, to get out into the areas like rural America here and find why people are so late in diagnosis, why they have so many cancers, and to really then combine that with research in all these areas, research about how to reduce the number of people with cancer, reduce the morbidity of that cancer, and then bring phase 1 and early stage clinical trials to people who unfortunately have cancers that maybe are getting past the point of standard treatment. So this is not a one-trick pony. This is a lot of different things coming together to accomplish one thing, and that is to improve the health of our citizens here in rural America.
That right there is Dr. James McGee. And let me ask you, it says Founding Director of OSF Cancer Institute. At what point did you get involved with just the process of this coming to fruition?
I approached OSF Healthcare in 1985 about starting a program in radiation oncology. At that time, they had no radiation oncology and essentially no oncology program in the healthcare ministry. So now we have a number of cancer centers across OSF Healthcare. We have a lot of people really tuned into developing better programs in terms of the health of people and reducing the incidence of cancer, early screening programs and so forth. So my history goes back to 1985, but the overall effort with the Cancer Institute started 17 years ago when a technology became available for proton beam therapy that was really revolutionary in terms of radiation treatments. It's not a treatment for everybody, but it is a treatment for a section of many different types of cancers to bring radiation capabilities to those patients. And that really is starting to change the landscape in terms of how people deal with their radiation, fewer side effects, better chance for cure, all expanding indications. So that took a long time because it had to, first of all, prove itself as a technology, this so-called spot beam proton therapy that I saw in Switzerland. And now we have that, and it's going to start operation soon, and we couldn't be happier because the technology has really evolved to the point where it's really useful and it's really slick, so to speak, very patient friendly. So we think that there are a lot of things that are coming together. Again, this is not going to replace anybody else's treatments. It's a supplement to that. And I think in general, the healthcare system's, thinking that why should people in downstate Illinois have worse health? Why should people in downstate Illinois not have access to phase 1 clinical trials? Why should they not have access to things like proton beam therapy in a manner that's really helpful? And the answer to that OSF decided was, well, we're not going to get rich doing this, but this is the right thing to do for the health of people. And so we hope that we can collaborate well with all sorts of medical practitioners and healthcare systems to take the unique things that we have, to take a large population to support, and bring that to the people that really need it. This is not a one-off. This is just for OSF patients. This is for people in rural America. This is for downstate. This is for everybody.
Instead of having to go miles and hours to somewhere else, you have
and you know what?
Right
They don't
here.
go miles, and they can't afford to. If you tell somebody, well, you just need to move to, a faraway place with a strange-sounding name for about 6 weeks, and go for a treatment, that's every day for 10 minutes, and I know you got kids. I know you had a job. You won't have a job. Your kids will, no. Nobody does that, right? Everybody takes care of their kids. Everybody takes care of their job. Everybody wants to have their family around for support. So that's hence, we're trying to just make this all work for people.
Must feel amazing to see a project that you had hands in and you've were the driving force behind for many years to actually start coming to fruition, and now it's about to.
It's my job, and it's the mission of the healthcare system. It's just really that simple. This is what you do when you're serious about health, not about all sorts of frivolous stuff.
That's amazing. Now, Tom, let me ask you on the flip side, at what point did you get involved with all this, and when did you meet Dr. McGee?
So I started this is my 40th year with OSF Healthcare.
Congratulations.
And I started out in radiology, but maybe about a decade ago, my boss asked me if I would get involved with cancer care, specifically in radiation oncology, to become a director level leader for radiation oncology. That's when I got to know Dr. McGee. It was probably a year or two later where I was asked to start building cancer supportive services. And that's what we've been really trying to build up in addition to all of our clinical care. A diagnosis of cancer for a family is a diagnosis that the entire family feels. It really turns a family upside down. It's not like I need to, if I have to get a hip replacement, I have one physician that I'm interacting with. I might have 4 or 5 physicians. I might have to go to multiple appointments. So we put together very early on a navigator program where we have a nurse that really interacts with the patients and make sure that our goal is to take the hand of the patient and their family and walk through this whole cancer process. And we've put together a team that includes counselors and dietitians. We have a financial navigator that helps you walk that very difficult path in the financial aspects of cancer care. We have genetic counseling to help you understand your genetic risk and kind of mitigate that genetic risk. So we really try to support the entire family. We've done things like put together a food pharmacy where if we detect there's any food insecurity for a family, that we sit down with that family, share with them some shelf-stable meals so that they're able to put together meals for their family, and also talk about community resources to help stabilize that food situation. It's all about taking those burdens off of the shoulders of the patients and their family so they can concentrate on getting better. And we've put services together like in this building, like imaging that's earmarked strictly for cancer imaging, so that if I get a tissue diagnosis of cancer, I'll go into that building and have a single day workup, much in the same way you would if you went up to Rochester, Minnesota. Get that entire workup done in a single day. 2 days later, have my case presented at a multidisciplinary conference where radiation oncology, medical oncology, surgery, radiology, pathology, all discuss my case and determine what are the next best steps for treatment, determine if there are any clinical trials that may help, and really talk about those supportive services. So together with Dr. McGee really building up that clinical side, myself and our team in Cancer Supportive Services have tried to build up that supportive side. We're also trying to revolutionize the intake process. When you contact us, we want to make sure that we essentially start navigating you from the minute you contact us. And again, start walking that path in relation to the disease immediately once you contact us.
No, I love what you guys are doing. The reason why I brought you in, and I love that you brought up contact, because that pivots me to my next question. I lost my grandmother in 2009 to pancreatic cancer. It was the first we held in my family. We didn't know what early signs, detection, any of that. Can either of you elaborate on what may be early signs that we should be aware of?
I'll let Dr. McGee address that in 1 second. I just want to bring up two important things. Dr. McGee mentioned how we want to be all in for research. Mm-hmm. The first clinical trial that we did that we've recently completed was a liquid biopsy for lung cancer. What do I mean by liquid biopsy? This was a blood test looking for circulating mutated lung cancer DNA within the body. The liquid biopsies are becoming really a path forward in finding cancers early. We are in a grant-funded trial right now. We're one of 8 sites that are looking at how do we find ways to detect pancreatic cancer early. We are sending tissue samples and blood samples into the trial sponsors for people that have pancreatitis and people that have pancreatic cancer. And what this trial is looking for is what can we see in pancreatitis patients and that we see in pancreas cancer patients. Are there circulating mutated DNA? Are there biomarkers that we can start doing those early tests so that people can find out earlier in a treatable manner when they may have pancreatic cancer?
And part of that too is starting to look at what's called polygenic risk scoring. In other words, looking at all the genes in a person's makeup and seeing if that combination of genes in some way predicts that they'll be at higher risk for a certain cancer or cancers. It is really disappointing in things like pancreas cancer because by the time symptoms appear, the disease is usually incurable. And there are other cancers like that, of course. So, we work on the risk side, try to change behaviors. And we try to do all those things, but the tools we have aren't good enough, and they're too demanding, and they're too expensive, When you live far away and you don't have a car and stuff, then to go get a mammogram every year is a bit of an undertaking. And what happens many times is people do that for, 18 years, and then they'll say, I'm going to skip this year. I got a cold, I got the flu, I'm not going to mess with it this year. Well, that's the year they get the cancer, right? Mm-hmm. So what we have to really do is find ways to be more long-term in our view about how to find who's going to get various cancers and be more specifically targeting those patients for specific preventative or intervention measures. The keystones of cancer control are really the science, and that science is exploding. And then communication, in other words, telling people, like through podcasts, about these issues and what can be done. But then the final phase has always been the hardest, and that's motivating people to act.
To get somebody off the couch?
That's always been the bugaboo. 20 years ago, I had people here trying to work with us at OSF and with Caterpillar on cancer control activities. Well, we got the science. Wasn't that much then. Better now. But we had science, and we had pamphlets in Spanish, and we had pamphlets in
any language you could
things,
get, yeah.
You know what I mean? And we didn't move the needle one damn bit. You know what I mean? It was
really?
No, because okay, you got another pamphlet. Okay, fine. Oh, yeah, time to get out the chips and watch the ball game. You have to motivate. So when you, but if I came to you and said, based on a couple simple blood tests, you really should have like a CAT scan of your pancreas every year and follow this blood marker. Or maybe just follow the blood marker once a year. Kind of like you draw a PSA for prostate, maybe you draw this test for pancreas. because by your family history and by some analysis of simple genes, we think maybe that'd be a good idea for you. Okay, well, you might be pretty damn motivated then to do something that's specific to you. Not when we're not talking about every male between age 30 and 90 doing it. When we're talking about you doing it, that's a little more personal. It's a lot more motivating. So that's the direction we're trying to head. Got a ways to go, but we're doing all the things necessary to get there, including really wrapping our arms around the primary care network that OSF has, which is huge, and empowering the primary care doctors in various ways to start to be out there in terms of helping people get that motivation and get that information. We just have been working with Harvard School of Public Health and just completed an 1,800 patient survey, and what we've learned is really that primary care is where people go for information about screening. It's where they go for information about cancer control, cancer treatment, all these things. And so we really have to empower our primary care doctors with easy-to-use tools to get that information out to patients and to personalize it. So that's a project for us. That's a ongoing work, and that's going to take us a couple months to do, but we'll do it.
But it's interesting when you think about it, because you have the science angle, which has improved dramatically over the years, right? But the issue is still there, as the doc said, whereas people don't go. They don't get off the couch.
So if I've had the statistics shared with me that X number of people out of X number of people get colon cancer, that's one thing. That might motivate some people. If I know that I've got a couple relatives that have had colon cancer, I do a blood test and some genetic testing, and it shows I've got gene mutations that make it highly likely that I could get colon cancer. I'm going to be listening as our team starts talking about here's a screening regimen for you that's based on your genetics, and you may get a colonoscopy more often than someone else. But here's the reason why. That makes it a lot easier to get off the couch and take that colon prep and get that testing done.
I know you guys got a busy day, so I won't take too much more of your time. But when is the Institute opening up?
Well, it's not a given moment. I mean, it's a phased opening. As you might imagine, it's a massive undertaking that Tom's heading up and has got things nicely scheduled. But it's kind of a rollout from a couple weeks from now on through till April and May.
So the first patients will walk into the building on February 22nd. And as Dr. McGee said, we're kind of phasing. We're not doing a big bang where everything in the building will be open at that time. But between February 22nd and March 18th, we'll be getting the entire building up and running.
And how do individuals go about getting more information, or maybe scheduling one-on-ones, or just coming in to check out the facility?
So this coming Saturday, we're having a public open house. That is a great opportunity to walk through the building and to kind of listen to what's available. I also want to really emphasize that if anybody thinks that the Cancer Institute or the programs that we are offering can help you or your family, we do have we've revamped our intake process and created a single phone number where all those inquiries will go to a 4-person team that can, within either that day or within a business day, you'll be speaking to an oncology nurse that will kind of listen to what you're seeking, and we'll get that hooked up with, whether it be a proton intake or if you need a second opinion, or you just want information on where screenings are available, more information on how what you eat can lower your impact of cancer. So we've got that single way to contact us that I think is really going to help.
Yeah, I would say that it'd be great if people would come out and take a look at the center. My own youngest daughter had cancer and had to have chemotherapy and ultimately proton radiation. And I just remember that my wife and I and our daughter went to Cincinnati Children's Hospital and walked in, and we were kind of down, She was really very thin. All of her hair was gone, really really wiped out, and now we're going to start this whole other phase of treatment because the first phase didn't work well enough. Kind of a downtime. But as soon as we walked into that building, there was a sense that this is going to work out. This is going to be all right. And so when it came time for us to have a selection of architects for this building, I worked very hard and fortunately was able to have the architecture firm from Boston that did Cincinnati Children's Hospital's Cancer Center come and design this Cancer Institute. I really hope people will come take a look because it's really, really amazing how the feeling in the building is, how positive that feel is.
So, Doc, as we're talking about, your personal experiences and driving, going all that, can I ask how she's doing now?
Well, she's past the 5-year mark, free of disease, and because she had spot beam proton therapy, the type that we're starting here, she does not have heart damage, she does not have lung damage, she does not have esophageal damage, and her risk of breast cancer is baseline. It's not greatly increased, as would have been the case with standard radiation therapy. So she's just had a little baby girl. And
I like the smile he had there,
and married an Irishman, so life is good.
In Ireland.
In Ireland too?
In Ireland.
Don't they have the Cliffs of Nor over there or something like that?
Have some more.
There we go. I know one thing over there. That's all.
One thing I wanted to add is Dr. McGee mentioned the word hope. That phone number for us is 1-844-OSF-HOPE. And we like to think of that term hope a lot. Every person who will be working in that building will have undergone training in the unique needs of cancer patients. And really, we're emphasizing to everyone that you are an advocate for cancer patients. We want to have a lot of discussions. If I go in there and get some imaging done, as I'm being escorted out of the building, I want to have the types of communication that, how you doing? Is there anything at all we can do for you? So that if I do have an issue with transportation or my family's having a hard time dealing with the diagnosis, or I am, that person that did the CT tech will know, well, we have a lot of supportive services in here, and we'll try to line up those services with that need right then and there. So Dr. McGee talks about the feeling that he experienced in Cincinnati. We want that culture, that feeling to almost be palpable when you walk into that building, that everybody there has been called there to help you and your family. And you and your family are the most important people to us at that moment when we interact with you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as somebody that has gone through the process with a grandmother, to have somebody as a founding member of this institute, to have gone through it and know the emotional take it takes on someone to travel and to constantly show up for the treatments and just watch the individual up and down with it. How does it feel just to know that you have a lot of blood and love into this project?
It's what I do.
I love that, man. I respect that a lot because I get the sense that you love what you do for a living.
I just like to get up in the morning and
just help.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's been a long and winding road, and it's all good. It's all been good stuff. And
let me ask you this question, because I love talking, when I talk to individuals in our community, people that pour back, whether it's organizations, businesses, individuals like yourself also, to do this for multiple years on end. What keeps pushing you?
For me, it's a difficult path. I've seen it in my own family, to really walk through this path of dealing with the disease of cancer. As Dr. McGee said, we're as devoted to preventing it and finding it early as we are having the latest, greatest treatments. I really feel like what we want to bring is hope and support to the community, and really at all times be helping the communities we serve kind of walk the path of cancer care. And I do feel like this commitment is real. We all feel it. But the commitment this community and the region has given us is just as strong. They've been fully supportive of what we're doing. When you come into proton therapy, you're going to be coming in here for multiple weeks. And this community has wrapped their arms around what we're doing, and we're going to accept these families in and make as good of experience as we possibly can when they're in town getting that treatment, trying to get as much of it done locally as well, so you don't have to be here for as long. But for me, it's my own personal experience that drives me. It's seeing, interacting with Dr. McGee for 12 years and listening to his vision, and really listening to our own sisters who will tell you, the two of us were called to work for OSF Healthcare. It's no accident that we're here doing this.
And what's kind of great is that you just meet the nicest people. You know, when people come in and they have cancer, you know, there's no baloney. You know what I mean? It's, you know, we get right to the heart of the matter. And one of the things that I most enjoy doing is asking, you know, we'll go through their medical things, you know, but before I leave or before they are finished, I usually say, now, who are you? Okay? You know, I mean, you know, people come in and, oh, you know, the lady with the lung cancer's here, you know, or the breast patient's here, this, that, and the other. Okay, you go in and you do your thing, right? But then at the end of that, I always like to try to take the time to say, now who are you? You know, you didn't just, you're not identified by your cancer. And that really leads to some. I never watch television. I never listen to the radio. Okay, sorry, no offense.
No, you're good. You're good. But, I go to OSF though, you know.
but I know everything because, you know, people come in and they tell me everything. And
you really get to know the individual.
Yeah, you get to, and so that's a very rich life to have people trust you and talk to you. I mean, and say hello on the street or, you know, whatever. That's just a wonderful life.
Is that always how you've been, or did you have mentors that instilled that upon you throughout your life?
No, I was raised as an only child of older parents in a very remote area. We didn't have a phone until I left for college.
Or a radio, no.
I did listen to Harry Carey broadcast Cardinals games, but
well, now we're friends. Yeah.
but it was, you know, just a very much of an environment where, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of no social, you know, climate, nothing. I had, you know, I grew up with animals. I didn't grow up around people, you know. So it's taken me a long time to, you know, kind of get to, you know, understand that, you know, knowing people is kind of good. But I embrace people just because they're nice people, not because of anything else.
So why healthcare then? Like, what made you go down this path? I'm a nerd. I like to ask people why they do things.
When I was a kid, the only people that we knew that had a solid job that didn't get laid off, or whether the weather didn't impact their income for the next year, was the doctor in Latham, Illinois, or Heliopolis, Illinois. And so it seemed like a logical thing, you know, and so I went to talk to the doctor in Mount Pulaski. You know, these guys kind of drifted in and out, you know, they'd work themselves to death and fall over dead, but we'd you know, so I went to talk to the doctor in Mount Pulaski, and he's, you know, and he was like, you know, it's just good, you know, you worry about other people, you don't worry about yourself. So
if there's some advice you would like to give anybody that is currently, let's say at Bradley, studying to get into the healthcare field, or somebody just now tiptoeing to get more information, what would you tell them before they go down this path?
I might be the wrong person to ask that because when I went to school, I got a BS in chemistry, and I thought I was going to be working in a lab my whole career. And when sometimes a higher power guides you where you need to go. I was sitting in a lab at Quincy College on a Saturday night, my senior year, looking around going, I don't want to work in a lab the rest of my life. So I stumbled into nuclear medicine eventually and decided.
Stumbled into nuclear medicine.
But I will tell you, well, the chemistry degree got me into a program, but I will tell you the first time I went and got a person, took them in there, started talking to them. As Dr. McGee said, they were telling me their story, and you know, I was able to help them. Then a light bulb went off, and from there I didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, if I were giving anybody advice, I guess it would be that I went to Quincy College as well, and
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
it's a training ground.
Nice plug.
Training ground for cancer people. But and then I went to Loyola Medical School, and I was blessed, I guess I'd say, by the fact that they wanted to get rid of me because I was asking too many questions and wanting to do too much. So I was able to spend my senior year of medical school at a Zulu hospital in Africa, an 800-bed hospital with 3 doctors. And then I got to do everything I wanted. And so I think that if one's interested in healthcare, well, then go to healthcare. Don't go into some, well, gee, I'd like to be a this, that, and the other because that lifestyle looks really great, or gosh, I could buy a Ferrari. None of that matters. What matters is go to a terrible place. Go to the place where there's no doctors and there's a lot of need and all that, and see if you enjoy that. If you don't enjoy that, don't go into healthcare.
Yeah,
We've got enough people that are, doing the fancy schmancy stuff. We need people that want to build healthcare. So that would be my advice: is work at a charity clinic, or find something in public health to do. Something along those lines. I chaired the State of Illinois Board of Health, as I said, and that inspired me to go to the Harvard School of Public Health and get a master's degree. And now, 20-some years later, we're doing projects with them on rural health, rural oncology, and getting some really interesting insight into how to change what we're doing. But you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get into it.
It's amazing how we see our stories kind of develop once we look back after some time. Like every person I talk to, it's like I'm pulling a book off the shelves. And before I end the podcast, I always like to ask my guests, what is your why? Like, what if somebody were to read your life story at the end of it, what's that gold nugget you wish they would take away from it? Your story specifically. Tom, what we think?
For my story, I would say what has always driven me in healthcare, and like I said, I took a bit of a circuitous road to healthcare, but once I got started interacting with people, I feel blessed that I'm able to interact with people when they are in need. So for me, it has always been, how can I help this person at this time when they are at a time where they're at a low point, and we all are there at times. And the ability to be able to help them at that point, I've always found extremely rewarding. And that's why, to me, healthcare was where I belonged. And this is my 40th year, and I'm never going to do anything else.
I love that.
Well, when I was in college, we had Father Tom, who taught a course on Karl Rahner and his theology. And I may have benefited from him being Franciscan and now working at a Franciscan organization. But really the take-home message I had, and believe me, this may not be what Rahner said at all, but the message I got was that what really matters are experiences, and that when we die, we don't get judged by all sorts of crazy things, but we take with us to wherever we go our experiences, and that a rich life is one filled with experiences, and those aren't necessarily good experiences. They can be very bad experiences. So I just view that no matter whether there's a bit of a downturn in something, or a tragedy, or an ecstatic moment, just take it as an experience, because it's the accumulation of experiences that at the end of the day allow us to understand what's going on in our lives and in our world and with other people. People who don't have if people don't go out and grab every experience they can, and that's look, I was like senior in medical school when I first took an airplane ride, or had a chance to really go outside the state of Illinois. And I never stopped. And I wound up doing all sorts of things all over the world, all because that was how I was able to gain experiences. And now I think I benefit from that immensely, and I hope other people benefit, because it's rare that I am not in a situation where I can identify with how that patient is feeling.
Why do I feel like his bedside manner is amazing? Like, I feel like if I was under his care, he would soothe me on a different level. I'm like, wow, yeah, thanks. I'm empowered now. Now, before we head out, Tom, can you tell us about the open house? Where's that time, and also to get more information, phone numbers, website, all of that?
Yes, the public open house is Saturday, February 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. At the Cancer Institute. And really, anytime you would like more information or you think we might be able to help you, please reach out to 1-844-4OSF-HOPE, and we will be more than happy to gather your information and to really help you through whatever it is you are seeking.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much. Again, this is episode 52 of the KZ Community Beat from OSF Healthcare. We have Tom Cox, the Vice President of the OSF Oncology Services, Dr. James McGee, Radiation Oncologist at OSF, and also the Founding Director of OSF Cancer Institute. Guys, thank you so much for the time. Good luck with helping everybody else. I appreciate everything you're doing for the community. And if you don't listen to all the other episodes, we'll go sing Go Cubs Go in front of your house. How about that? Are you a Cubs fan?
Thank you. And we do listen to podcasts, maybe not radio.
Good save, Vice President. Good save.